Welcome to Pan a la Carte, Players Only. Today's special guest is one and only Roger Sardinha, musician, arranger, composer, writer, adjudicator, a jack of all trades in the steel band industry, in the music industry. I want to welcome Mr. Roger Sardinha, the Players Only. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, sir. And let me express a good morning to all the listeners. And I'm looking forward to having an excellent show with my host. So without any further ado, I'm ready to rock.
Right. You ready to rock? Roger, I
Yes,
have
sir.
known you, right, through a personal friend of mine, which is your nephew. But I want Pan a la Carte listeners, Players Only supporters to know who you are, because as the interview go along, they will get to understand who you are. All right. So let me start about your growing up days, though. You know, where you're from, what area,
Okay.
school thing.
I was born in Scarborough, Tobago, and I attended the Scarborough RC and eventually Bishop's High School. My first association with an organized steel band was with the Our Boys Steel Orchestra in 1966. I played with them for like 3 years. And then just prior to leaving to go to school in the United States, I spent one carnival season with the then Catelli All-Stars in 1970. And that more or less covers briefly my involvement with the Pans Home. But let me first, before I continue, let me say that I come from a family of 9 boys, and I'm the last. So I have 8 siblings who kind of brought me along. So that's basically.
Why is growing up? Where the music came from? Where the curiosity of the music came? How it started?
Okay, well, to be honest with you, in the late 50s, I mean, me being the last child, before they started migrating to Canada and the United States. And that almost, obviously you get records. They will send you records from there. And this was my introduction to people like, Oscar Peterson, Ahmad Jamal, Stanley Black, Charlie Parker, you name it. But to be honest with you, I was not listening, I was hearing. If you can understand, I was hearing it. I wasn't intelligent enough or mature enough to really take it in, but it was there, it was ever present. So those were my early influences in the music, because like I said, I had 8 brothers, and everybody started migrating, so we got loads of music.
Right. So, but you migrated too.
Yeah, I left right after the carnival in 1970 in the summer. I went to New York and I did like 2 years of school, and then I ran into a group of pan men who, up to this day, I think is probably one of the best collection of pan men that I played with.
So what year that was you when they migrated?
I left in 70 and I kind of got back into the pans in 72.
All right. So you wasn't here for the little revolution and thing. You missed that.
No, that's part of my ushering out of TNT, because these things had meetings all back in the 60s, middle and late 60s. So 70 was just the culmination of the effort. But then it was going on for a while. So then, I started hearing stories of, get him out. He's hanging with bad company. You go to listen to the station, so they get him out, get him to New York, of all places, to New York. So that was my part.
All right. So before you married your greeted, they didn't arrange no steel band here. Yeah, arrange.
No panorama music, basically just stateside music. I used to arrange for our boys from maybe age 16, 15, 16. Because like I said, I had brothers who were always parts of Pan side. So Pan was always in the house.
Right. Nice. So all right, so we in New York here now. You went to school, you run into some locals.
Oh yes, the best. When I mean the best, it was like Emmanuel Jack Riley, Winston Mouterby Phillips.
Let's not call the bands these guys came from.
Okay, well, we start off with Winston. I would say Invaders started from was
Phase 2.
into Phase 2. Okay.
Right.
Emmanuel Jack Riley, that is Invaders, and that was, I think he left after Invaders and migrated. And they were, there were people like Mano Flores from Invaders, and there was Pat Phillip from Starlift, Beanhead from Starlift, Beans from Desperados, Denzel from Desperados, Little Jack from Desperados, Hillary Borneo from Desperados, Jason Peanut Isaac from Solo, myself from Our Boys, a guy called Red Duck who played the bass from Desperados. So it was a collection of...
And Stretch.
Yeah, Patrick Shepard, drummer, Starlift. So it was really a collection of well-accomplished players, and it was.
So what was the name of this band? What was the name of this band?
Tropicans. Yeah.
Tropicana.
No, Tropicans.
Oh, Tropicans.
Yeah.
It's a mix there. So the drums was cans, and you're from the tropics.
Yes.
Tropicans.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Led by Mr. Rudolph King.
Mr. Rudolph King.
Yeah.
All right. So Tropicana now. This was the big band in Brooklyn, New York.
Well, surprisingly, they had almost, I would say, maybe I could recall maybe 10, 12 bands.
Wow.
They had quite a few. But then again, for some reason, I remember the first year we played, Panorama was 2 days. We played 2 songs. Our arrangers were Denzel Botas from Desperados and Beverly Griffith. Enough said about Beverly, in the sense that everybody knows Beverly, who you respond to, Tokyo, Desperados, So we just had excellent teachers and people who you could really almost try to emulate. And those days, I'm 19, 20 years old. I'm the kid on the block. And there was a guy from...
So wait, stop. The ship you out at Trinidad because it was on the block. And you telling me now you up in New York with Tropicans and you're the kid on the block.
Yeah, because it was listen, the Pioneer was a family. And if you notice, most of the guys are called Starlift, Phase 2, Desperados.
Yeah.
There were 2 guys from Tobago with Lil Jack, who was Desperados, and myself, Our Boys, and my little jaunt in the Catelli All Stars. And basically Peanut from Solo, all excellent musicians.
But these names you call here is good players because I met Jack, Lil Jack, right? I know Peanuts, right? And Mouterby, good players, with Bean and Patton. I play alongside a couple. Kobo Jack, a legend in it, so that band was quite solid.
Yeah, Coleridge Baba, that's a name that it is a very important name. All these guys are deceased, God rest their soul and stuff, but Coleridge Baba had 2 kids that played in Phase 2 who is Jenny and Lord.
Lord.
Those are, that's Coleridge kids. And he is also his cousin. And he was a fire, so I mean, he was an excellent musician. It was a good experience. And we won the first Panorama in New York.
All right. So I was under the impression that Tropican drink sponsor you guys, you know.
No, that's the orange juice. No. We had no sponsor. And you know what is sponsorship used to come in for Labor Day, but that's a whole other story. You know, you see all these sponsors name Panorama Night on top back, you know, on the backdrop, and then the Panorama doesn't pay anything that even is worth mention. It's total disrespect. Total disrespect.
So you know, Roger, look at this thing. This thing going on in Trinidad and Tobago, in New York, like it all the Panorama, like it have a cancer. What is going on?
No, let me tell you something. Trinidad and Tobago, I mean, compared to other places, Trinidad and Tobago showing off. Trinidad and Tobago is Beverly Hills. $1 million for the winner in one category and $650 for a winner in the medium, and then $400 for a winner in the small. The last four positions in the large band in Panorama get 3 or 4 positions. They all get $400,000. Once you make the final, if you come 8, you come 9, you come 10, you make the same money. So we might not be doing as good as we would like to, but we are not doing badly. Because London don't pay no set of money. You know, New York, you know, Toronto don't pay no money.
Toronto, oh gosh, yeah.
You're sitting down,
all the bands. Well, on this program, I've got the privilege to speak to some band leaders who involve foreign bands, and it's pressure, man. It's bragging rights.
I'm telling you, it's a big block party.
Yeah,
that's all it is. Total disrespect. You know, and the thing about it is, let me tell you something, we will have to take some of the blame too, because I remember when I lived in New York, I was a member of the Musicians Union. And they had about 6 or 8 of us. You understand? And they had at least 2,000 men in New York. But what I'm saying is that we do not like to conform and to do certain things, because I have gotten gigs not because the people wanted to hire me, but because I was a union member. And if you're going to go to certain places, you have to be a union member to perform. You know, so
So do you think that is the problem here in Trinidad and Tobago? Lack of knowledge of union representation?
No. You see, I don't know if it's union representation, but some kind of solidarity has to occur, whereby we don't have the backstabbers, we don't have the people who try to exploit you for a pan. If you're going to play for 5 minutes or 5 hours, it's the same preparation. Some people tell you, well, only come in for half an hour, you're charging that much. You know, it's not about the charging that much. We know the deal as pan players. I mean, you've been gigging for years, I've been gigging for years, so we know what the deal is. Have you ever gone to play for someone and they're telling you, oh boy, Noel, we make a killing, whole extra 200.
No boy.
The first thing they will tell you, boy, we ain't do too well, you know, we're expecting more people, boy, I can't play. They never tell you when they make a killing. Even with businesses, you know, even with the pandemic, certain things people tell you, oh God, we're out of business. What were you doing the last 5 or 10 years? Weren't you making some sort of profit? You understand? So, and it's the same frame of mind. One time I had to join a union in New York and it cost me almost $900 just to join. That's the actors and performing artists, AFTRA. Almost $900 to join. But if your face go on TV for 5 seconds, they have to pay you a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
This is you.
That is what is lacking to here, the rate, understanding the rate and the quality of player. Right? Of quality performer then, because you know, not because you could play a song you learn in the band, yeah, that don't make you a professional performer,
No, far from
right?
it. Far from it.
Right, and then also endorsements and that level when you're out there is go by your audience. How many persons you perform, how many shows, who are you? That is how there is know who you are, right?
But
So
this, you know, what I feel sometimes what we do is like asking an English professor, you know, maybe Oxford educated, to come to Trinidad to judge slang, something that he has no idea about what these expressions represent. But you feel totally comfortable, not from what he come into, you're totally comfortable with where he coming from. Mr. English professor, you can't come and judge slang for me because you don't know what the things are pertaining to, you know. And we have got to recognize that we got to know if you put something in place and this is what you go. How many people you know go before? Well, this is not an adjudicator, but a judge and say, "Yeah, like that judge," or "He ain't judge me right." Or you can't say in a criminal law we win, but I innocent, you know, everybody innocent. And that is the thing that we subject ourselves and our people to all the time. The first thing you have coming out of a panorama is the judge is thief. What a joke.
yeah, it's just Steve.
Yeah,
You want to see the score sheet? You see
yeah,
the score sheet.
did they check the criteria on the score sheet? What is required? Not a nice four-chord jam, something that's constructive. And if you're reading a book, please read from chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not chapter 1, 5, 3, 2, 4, because the story wouldn't flow. And this is what happens. That sounds nice, and your story going all kind. You're augmenting the story all kind of how, and can't resolve it.
Can't resolve it.
Yeah,
so here now, Roger.
Yeah.
So after Tropican, right? You went solo or something? You had a small group?
Well, no, we had a small group with my guy I played pan for with 30-something years, Mr. Sanjak, fellow Tobagonian, and I say he was a member of Desperados, Tobago All-Stars prior to Desperados, and we had a group called Bamboo. And that's when we branched out and trying to do mainstream stuff. And that's where we were introduced to people like, and we were fortunate enough to work with people like Ralph McDonald. And I used to work on a regular basis with Francis Haynes, Patsy Haynes. And we played in very prestigious places and performed with Steve Van. And we're talking about in the mid-70s.
Right.
You know, Newport Jazz Festival when it used to be held on 52nd Street in the city. And, you know, the Apollo Theater, the reopening of the Apollo Theater in 1977. You know, Ralph McDonald, Bobby Humphrey, Grover Washington Jr., you know, Eric Gale. You know, these are people that the pans, and we were right there. 3 pan men, Alston Jack, Roger Sardinha, and Mike Sorzano. You know, we even did a record with Ralph called The Path. Very well-known record. And I say, we have been representing TNT from in the early 70s. I'm glad to see the youth nowadays, and they're making strides, and they're making themselves musically literate. And I just wish they would just put a little more effort into working with scales and patterns, which will help you to be able to improvise a little, you know, with a little more purpose, you know.
Yes,
I think I think people, when they improvise now, they don't think about the mood that they're creating, but they think about the notes that they know that are available to them. And sometimes it takes them down some very interesting paths. And to resolve it, it's not always as easy. So learn your patterns, learn your scales.
And you're talking from a point of view, it's never too old to stop learning patterns and scales because they are patterns forever.
This is what I'm saying. I'll be honest with you, I learned patterns. I am almost 70 years old. I learned patterns in my 60s. And I remember learning a pattern which was an augmented scale. And everybody who play pans might have, not a diminished scale, and everybody will probably know, okay, a diminished or a diminished seventh, but that is not the scale. That's the triad and the seventh or whatever it might be.
Triad,
but,
yeah.
Yeah. But when you're talking about the scale, this is a 9-note scale, and I remember playing a song, and the whole bridge of the song was that diminished scale. You know what I'm saying? Not too many people even pay attention to these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And so in your playing this solo with the bamboo and thing.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the furthest you have been out of the North America, the Western Hemisphere?
Oh no, well, I made some trips. I made about 5 trips to Europe. I went one time as a single artist, and one time as two of us went, and we went with a small group. And then I did another solo artist thing on a ship between Finland and Sweden. You know, we used to sail for 15 hours a day, spend 9 hours in port, then you're back out on there. So that was
right.
Yeah. And I did the Caribbean gigs also to South Carolina, North Carolina, at Savannah, Georgia, Hilton Head Island, you know. Yellowbird bring green pockets.
No,
Okay?
this I'm glad you mentioned that. It had this myth, right? I say it's a myth because people say, "Boy, me play no Yellowbird song, me play no Yellowbird song." Man, when I got my gig to go Bermuda, we're gonna play Yellowbird. I watched my daughter back then. I say, yes, I'm gonna play Yellowbird. Right? And Yellowbird mind plenty people. You understand?
Yeah, so
Plenty
Yellowbird
artists.
bring green pockets. Green
Yes,
pockets.
bring green pockets.
Yes. Yellowbird bring
Right.
green pockets. But the thing about it is, people must know the instrument. And we're going down a road. And like I said, I'm glad to see people literate, but it's 12 notes we have. No more than 12 notes we have. So sometimes I would almost say, use them wisely. And sometimes we cluster passages with, I mean, my humble little opinion telling me overuse of notes. And I try to direct people, I said, go and listen to Count Basie's band, or go and listen to Duke Ellington's band. Listen to how Count Basie approaches a solo. You know, down here we will I mean, sometimes I almost look at the fourth and fifth tenor here with almost a little cross-eye, because I say, it's lulling people into a false sense of security. Let's go dwell in pentatonic heaven. So the average tenor man, you come to check a pan when you go to play. The first thing you play is a blues scale, a pentatonic scale. And they're not venturing beyond the comfort zone. That's why a lot of people sound alike. Don't get me wrong, the technique is, they have the technique down, the patterns are beautifully tuned, but we need a little more. I mean, something was said the other day, and I mean, I don't know if this is, you know, I just think that I need to hope that I interpret it right. Because from what I got from the statement is, when they had the Ramage, it was stated that even though we spoke the same language, some of the players from outside used a different vocabulary. And to me, that struck me, I don't know what was the intent, but it struck me as that was so prolific the way that was stated. And it is the truth. We got to start. I mean, let's face it, we could call names because we all listened. Andrew White, Can Cordis, the young man from Barbados, Keisha Codrington, bless her heart. She kept us in there. Okay? So it was, what I have to say to us fan people, stay woke. Because if you fall asleep, it's over. Good.
We, before we go any further, I just want to just take this intermission here to let people know you're on Pan a la carte, players only with our guest today, Roger Sardinha. All right. Experience Tobago. Real thing he have in it, you understand, the pathway that he conquered, he succeed, he challenge. Good words of wisdom and advice you're passing on. So you're on the a la carte, you're enjoying it this afternoon. So Roger, right, as we're talking about the ramage that go on and the vocabulary, well, I think to perform, to be a performer, this is how I learned too, right? I was told to listen to others, right? Listen to others, meaning who have already succeeded and done their, get the Grammys, because the objective was getting the Grammys, you know, selling 1 million copy, right?
Yeah.
And getting on the Grammy stage, you understand? Collecting your, you understand? Your Grammy, right? So, do you think this is a sense of lack of knowledge or ignorance, not willing to listen to other music? Just feel like competition style music, is it?
Sometimes it could be peer pressure. You know, in other words, if your crew hanging out listening to a certain type of music, but your head is somewhere else, you might want to put your head somewhere else and want to hang on to what because you want to be one of the boys. You see me? I wayward. I want to be out the box. I want to be different. My first CD that I did 20-something years ago, I put a rap song, 2 rap songs on it. One was a tribute to Pan called 55 Gallons of Steel. Understand? And I will advise anybody, if they get a little chance anyway to find that piece of music, listen to it, listen to the lyrics, and listen to how you're paying respect to the Pan men who fought
We gotta
all
come
the
and we go chat a bit on that album, right? Because it's Once Upon a Pan, right?
Yep.
So we had a chat on that. That have a story. That is just not a CD, right? You know, and I know you were doing that work. I know the time you put into it, right? The effort, self-funded. So it's not gonna be a 3 months. You understand? It take a little while. So we will get to that, right? Because this advice is very good. Because I had 3 albums. Right?
Okay.
I've found several singles. It was always an objective back in the day to aspire to be a songwriter, a composer.
Yes.
How we don't have that no more? Why we not encouraging that?
Let me tell you something. I think that what has happened is I enjoy music. I'm a Trinbagonian. I love soca music. And I mean, I have nothing against the calypso. I love Skinner Park. But what I'm saying is that I know the quality of musicians they have in T&T. And we are not being fair to them to give them a forum to express their musical ideas. I mean,
You have no room for you on the radio station. You have no room. No room for you on the radio station.
But I know exactly what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying. But what I'm saying, we have to make a change, you know? We have to make a change because, I mean, I hear some people be doing some work there. And I'm saying, Lord, this could sell in Europe, it could sell anywhere. And now it's so easy to advertise your music. Understand? It is no big thing. You have Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube. Understand? Long time ago, you take 2 9x12 glossies, 2 tapes on your resume, and you take it. And if you're lucky, they throw it in the big basket of hundreds of other people's stuff. You know?
But about 20 CD I give in radio station in one radio station because this DJ and that DJ and this DJ and that DJ. And I'm still waiting to get play.
Well,
You
you see, the
understand?
thing about it is, like for instance, okay, back in the day, like even sometimes I tell people, I said, back in the day, you did things and you felt like I had 2 songs published on a soap opera and NBC soap opera. Well, right now it doesn't run anymore. Soap opera called Another World. And I'm saying to have a song published on a soap opera, that means you're doing and you perform it and whatever on the soap opera. And we were shooting parts for Fatal Attraction, but that hit the cutting room floor. But that didn't stop Paramount from paying you when it went from large screen to small screen videos. So I'm saying we have been doing things and people have not been talking about these things. Look at Alston Jack was on the Cosby Show playing pans. We recorded with Denroy Morgan, who is the father of Morgan Heritage and the guy who did I'll Do Anything for You. And, we recorded with these people. We recorded a lot, Herbie Mann and all. I mean, we recorded with these people and it's nothing as if we say record anything. We did. So we did a lot of things, but nobody was making any documentation. So I appreciate the fact that you invited me to come on and say something. So somebody could understand that, hey, I remember telling one day, I was telling Clive, I said, I used to play with All Stars, So you used to play with all. I said, yeah, I played with 1 year. And this is about maybe less than 5 years ago, I telling him this story. And I pull out the dog tag from 1970. All the pan players had the little dog tag. And I pulled mine out from 1970, which was like almost 40 years later. And he almost played. He said, you have that? He said, I wasn't even in the band then. Understand? So I'm saying sometimes people need to know who you are, where you come from.
Yes, because people just open their mouth and talk out of timing and give the impression that they know. And but they're not realizing you are changing the course of what already has been written.
Exactly. Listen, bro, I get a short story here, real short. One night we out in Finland, a place called Pori. And earlier in the day, we met this guy, had a few beers, and he said, I'm having a show later. Why don't you all be my guests? And we had all access parts because we were also performers. So the night we went right up off the side of the stage, had a table for us and sit down there. And he had his trio up there, and they're playing and they're jamming. And after a while, he said, any drummers in the house? So nobody responded, any drummers in the house? And then he looked at the side and he saw us. He said, don't worry about it. We got drummers, steel drummers. Yeah. So then he looked at us because he wanted to go play the guitar. He was a drummer. And his name happened to be Buddy Miles. So here it is, Buddy Miles wants to play the guitar. So he's looking for somebody to drum. And I said, straight four? He said, yes. Straight four, I go with that. I'm not a drummer by any means, but straight four. And I was playing drums for Buddy Miles. And I just this is the man who played Down by the River. This is Jimi Hendrix drummer. This is the man. You understand? We have pictures with Funkadelic, Dave Sanborn. All those people have my music. So I mean, right. Charles McCoy Tyner, James Brown, Chuck Berry, all these people used to be in these concerts in Europe. And we as bandmen used to be performing.
So Roger, why it is in Tobago they don't like to support local music? Because what is your vibes you get from that since you return home?
Okay, I think what it is it's a double-edged sword because, people don't want to accept the pan music. But it's like, would you want to date somebody who don't have no manners? And I'm going somewhere with this. I'm not trying to think. In other words, I'm saying we have to put out a product out there that make the people want to be part of the pan story. Too much bands rely on the panorama. and they do not have a stage side, we know the sides who going to come out there and perform. And I'm not saying something that people don't know what he talking about. I know what they're talking about. Desperado stage side, Renegade stage side. I'm not too sure now, but back in the day, Skiffle was a monster, invaded stage side bands. But now, if you're hearing the same thing 1625, or you're doing something on a rhythm, and you're just changing the lyrics and doing a rhythm, something that might sound good when you vocalize it, don't have to sound good when you put instruments only. Because every verse is a different story when you vocalize. But when you're playing an instrument, the story doesn't change. It's the same melody over and over. So that's why you got to improvise.
But you played in Panama already, where the whole Savannah was a sellout. All on the track with people lining and standing up was stands. Sell out full.
But okay, let me take this to another point. How much bands, to be honest, how much bands, let's call them, eat a food and drink a beer. So and so coming on stage, your level of interest falls. You hear big grown people who would say Savannah full, but when you go and you interview them people, you're going up Savannah, yeah, but I wait until them other bands done. I won't go when the big band's playing. What big bands? What disrespect you talking about? I could go back to records on the pan in the 21st century where quote-unquote big bands failing to qualify. And they said, no, not enough money. And it ain't lucrative enough. No, the music, you can't do world music. You can't do R&B, you can't do jazz.
Yes.
Yeah, so you ain't guaranteed to reach nowhere.
Yeah, the pan in the 21st century, a lot of bands had a fair chance of disrupting big bands that year.
Exactly.
Right? And that was kind of like, nah, boy, better we ain't going this thing. We doesn't do good. Looking for any excuse. Instead, of come and up your game. Because you're one of the bands that pull in at least 75 people will come because you inside there. You know, I just call 75, but you know, your supporters go come and build the program. You rather stay in your pan.
Yeah, so and this thing about it is like, you know, sometimes you hear some levels of, well, I can't be judgmental and say ignorance, but I remember making a point to somebody. I said, you're complaining that people running from band to band to band to band. What it is that says that we're supposed to have 120 players in the lodge? I said, go back to the international panorama. I said there were 24 bands. Each band is allowed a maximum of 60 players. Did you hear anybody say I couldn't hear them? Or somebody said I didn't enjoy them, or they wasn't powerful? None of that. But we have a mentality that we feel we have to have the biggest bands. You understand? Like they didn't understand when Jit beat everybody with how much players? 6 or 7?
The festival.
Yeah, the thing when you're playing is how you perform and how you present yourself. You don't need it. And if you go from 120 to 90 with large, you do something, you say, okay, 30 players, we drop right there. With the 30 players at 1,000 a piece, that's 30,000 you drop there. By 10 bands, that's $300,000 just from the large. You understand? But you want 120 and cannot play the pan people their money. Disrespectful.
Yeah.
That's just my one little and that I think I'm entitled to.
All right, we're moving along good, you know. We're moving along good. We time looking good, right? But I want to come to the adjudicating experiences you have been having, right? And I ain't satisfied yet with the Once Upon a Pan. I want to hear more about that project. How that dream came about to structure this Once Upon a Pan. Tell us about that story.
Well, as we were growing up as kids, all stories started with Once Upon a Time. So I sat down and said, well, my thing isn't time, my thing is pan. So I say Once Upon a Pan. And what I set out to do is to do the various styles that I think that the pan could venture into. Understand? And that was also, it was almost like a peep into my soul. Wrote a song for my mother, wrote a song for my sister who was a recovering cancer patient. I wrote several songs about my style, my life in New York and what I had to encounter. And then I wrote about this piece about 55 gallons of steel. It tells you about the pioneer and the contributions that were made. The only thing is here with Patsy Haynes is, Casablanca. That man did so many things with the pan. Rudy King. Oh yeah, Rudy King. Rudy King brought pan in 1949 to New York. But back to the CD. I mentioned these guys' name in the CD because people don't know who they are. A lot of people don't know who I am. Who is he? Who's that guy was talking? It's not important of who was the guy was talking, but what was said by this guy who was talking. So my first CD is a story of my life. So Once Upon a Pan. Understand? And it has things that people could relate to. I did a calypso rhythm thing, and the thought behind it, I saying, Granny want to dance too, because everything is 1 to 2 beats and up. Granny ain't tripping to that, so slow it down for Granny. So this is the thoughts that behind my CD. I try to keep everybody in, Then I did one which I'm planning to re-release called Foreigner. And it is so relevant to what is happening there today in this world we live in. But then, so basically the story behind thing is a story of my life and some of my family's life. That's it. In different,
Once Upon a Pan,
different
people.
beats, different groups.
Google it, search it. You have it up on. You have it on Spotify. You say it's on Spotify. You have it. You have it.
I have a few on SoundCloud. SoundCloud. I have about 4 or 5 pieces. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but I'm gonna put up that 50. Go ahead.
People doesn't realize how important that Panchimbago program or that local station we had. Remember that local station we had down in Trinidad there, right? They play all of our music. And the 55 gallon used to get real play, right? Because it was a serious message. It was a true story. It wasn't anything. So if anybody in hear it, right, you could try to Google search for it, try to find anybody who has a copy and listen. Don't copy it. Right?
Did you see the big hullabaloo when everybody, about 2-3 years ago, if that long, they had a rap song with pan on it in a movie. And I was saying, I wonder if there's a research how many songs with pan has been in movies.
Yes.
I heard a song where pan on the soundtrack from beginning to end of the music. So we need to research. I'm not going to say the first to do this and first. My CD was about 22 years old. I was
in my earlier years, when you coming to New York in the 80s, I went and do a recording up in Manhattan there, and I didn't know who I doing it for. It was some big reggae artist. The recording pan in New York long time and doing good.
Yeah, people don't realize
it. And the guy was Bob Marley's engineer. So it was, I can't remember his name, but he was a cool brother. He said, don't worry, man, a 20 by 20 room. I in one corner and the mic in the next corner, quite across. So, man, every all this thing song would have played back. I mean, you mix this already.
Even what you call it, with the same Patsy Haynes, we used to work with an avant-garde jazz player. That's another, so avant-garde jazz is a whole another jazz. It is so well put together that it even sounds fragmented. But again, as in Patsy Haynes, we play. I have things on stage with fellas like Ricky Ford and Hamlet Blewett and Congaman Candido and all in Newport Jazz Festival. people need to know that these things went on. I have a thing that I showed the other day on the Today Show, right? I get called on that show because union. And not, not because I wasn't with the group, but they called me because, hey, there's a union man, and we need union men for this gig. So, but they hear the pan man talking about money and money and money. I said, you want money when you come in my yard, and unless it's some big background pan. So you come with your tenner pan or your double second and you call your price. Okay, but don't come and expect shelter and pan and stick something and then want to charge me a thing.
You understand?
No, come prepared. If you come with your pan, it sounds like, okay, fine. Me and you could work out a price. But when I supplying you with everything and you want to come and you want to come and make big demands on me. And a lot of them will skate. Ladies and gentlemen, I play in pan since 1966. Adjudicating maybe a dozen or more years. I have seen skaters in action. You understand? And it's not fair. And if we reduce, if we reduce the amount of players, we will need for one man to be playing in 5 bands. Because you'll have more players available. Just saying.
I was a benefactor in the years ago, decades ago, going and play for other bands, right? Especially the ones that Sharp arranged for, right?
Mm-hmm.
But back in that time, it wasn't look as like how it is being assessed now. Like I had to play in 10 band because I was a hitter and this. No. You was making, back then we were making a contribution to your band development, right? Like the bands that we play in, we have them advance to finals, we have them win 3 times with Belmont fifth dimension, right? We beat All Stars and best of the rest, right? We went up skiffle bunch, we win with skiffle bunch, pan around the neck, right? We have Deltones, we have Juicy Antillians.
Yeah, but you weren't mercenary about it. That is the important.
No, it wasn't about being, because right there you had us to help the other players because they are weaker players. That's why you are coming in to help.
Exactly. That's why. So a lot of bands don't go with the in-house arranger for Panorama because they don't feel that he's strong enough. Yeah, and let me tell you, the thing about it, a lot of people who make these comments, they're not in a position to assess them. It's almost like you're trending, you're repeating something you heard,
Yes.
And I hear a lot of people say stuff that I want to tell them. I say, you're crazy, but then that might be another story. But the truth about it is we have some of the most technically sound players in the world, but we have got to start thinking more. Why are we not having any marriages with voice and pan and dance? You understand?
But you used to have something like that long time, with Julia Edwards and Aubrey Adams.
Yes, but then it's not happening anymore. You understand? Let me tell you something. Something happened the other day. I saw 2 fantastic young players in the Ramajay. But then, I would say, unfortunately, and forgive me if I'm wrong, they had the unfortunate circumstance of picking the one jazz standard in the entire Ramajay. And unless these 2 young people had a chance to work with that sound, it was almost asking too much to ask them to perform a standard jazz song that was probably 5 times the age that they were. And they got lost because they did not understand the structure and fantastic players, don't get me wrong, fantastic. And I love how the young man arranges, that's another thing. But I'm saying something has got to be done because then again, Andre picked the same songs for duo and solo. and I'm sure he could handle any song you throw at him, but he should not have to play the same song twice for 2 different categories.
Yeah.
You know, things have to be, you have to tweak that contest. You have to, you know, you have to have some, because when I heard this show and I heard them play right through, and I said, yeah, this fella thing, you know, yeah, good. And then they throw the jazz at him. And I had a lot of kind of syncopated rhythms. It never really pauses. It just keeps going. You know?
Okay.
They were totally out of their element.
So, so Roger, we touch on nearly everything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this is a stage in this interview with you
Mm-hmm.
that I cannot experience it because I was never selected to be a adjudicator. But right, I judge other shows before, right? Singing thing, but not panting. How long now you have been adjudicating?
Nationally or just adjudicating?
Let me go nationally, because
I would say about 2000 and I was doing Pandown Memory Lane. I think it was 6 or 5, 2006, 2000. I can't remember. It was right around that. And then I used to be the arranger for our boys when they were a large band. And that ended. And I went to a single pan band named Them Boys. And I have to give Them Boys a plug. Them Boys won the World Steel Band Festival competition, a single pan. They had groups from Trinidad, Tobago, and Grenada. And we went and we represented Trinidad and Tobago at Madison Square Garden at the finals of the conventional music festival in 2005.
Okay.
All right. So, and I will give a phase 2 type information here. We beat the runner-up by 23 points. I know you'd appreciate what I just said. I know you'll appreciate what I just said.
Oh God! Yes, Roger. Yes, Roger. So let me go back to the adjudicated thing, because the arranging with our boys, I got taste of your music fire down below.
Oh, okay.
That was a good experience. I some years as well.
89.
89.
31
yes,
years.
Yes. Look at that. And that seemed to be just the other day. Because when it was in New York,
I smile when the bloggers say, I don't know why they don't make them, give them judge a song to arrange and let the arrangers judge them. And the only thing is, because of my age, I don't fall on my knees and say, please, 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 please. You understand? Because it's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword, because I've been on 2 sides of the fence. And my competitors used to be phase 2 All-Stars, Exodus, Silver Stars, Stalin, Renegades, Desperados. That's why I used to have to go up against. So I think if
so that arranging experience, and I started to adjudicate. Right? As an adjudicator, how does that month just be for one who is an adjudicator in the steel band competition? How safe it is feel? How challenging it is to go from band to band and preliminary judging?
Okay. Let me say something to you. Panorama judging does not start as a lot of people might think, okay, first week in January. You have to develop some sort of insight to the arrangers that you're listening to. You have to get to know the sounds to a certain. I mean, you listen to a song once or twice. You're not listening 3 verses. You want 1 verse. That's all you need. And I had to listen to all the verses.
So judges could go to steel bands prior to hear bands perform or practice or what they're doing. Do you all do that? Do you all do this to see how a arranger creating a song?
It's a funny thing you ask that, because different places that they go to, because I have had the pleasure of representing TNT. We were on the first panel of judges that went to do the Notting Hill Carnival in, I think it's 2014. That was the first time BAS or BSA, I don't know, British Association, whichever, they requested judges from TNT, and we happened to go up there. And then the funny thing is, the lady asked, would you like to go hear them before? We said, not really, we don't do that in TNT. But then again, you go to like St. Lucia or Antigua, and they do a fanfare before they start playing the Panorama song. Because the first time I went up there and I hear this, I said, what is this? And it was a fanfare. It lasted about 20 seconds, you know? But then what I'm saying is, if you don't know what is going on, I think, and we don't hear those calypsos, they don't play the calypsos, I think they will play it one time for us to hear. Because what they listen for is the verse and chorus. And then, you know, you're going to hear it 3 times before the song done, so you have a good idea. You know, and I remember one time an announcer in Phase 2 Yard said something, and I was a bit peeved. I didn't make anything about it. When the night when they're ready, and it wasn't that the thing, but the guy got on the microphone and said, we want the judges to hear the song again. You think I'll come there unprepared? Yeah. This year. You know,
Wow.
and you know, it was a delay, something that was fixing, because when I remember Sharp was getting ready to come the band and somebody stopped him. Right? And he came over to the desk and said good night to the adjudicators and then the fella said, play the song again for the judges. And I kind of look at that guy and said, Mister, you think, I mean, come on, you think this is a joke?
But back to the question about going and hear the bands, or hear what the arrangers doing, how are the bands approaching this piece of music, because you think it's unfair just hearing them come up on stage and let's play this piece of music in front of you just so, and you don't know what it is they're doing, how hard they're practicing, or
for some
how difficult
years,
section.
I've been an advocate for dialogue between arranger and judge. And I draw the analogy to figure skating. The judges in figure skating know the routine, what it's going to be, what you're going to be looking for, what you're going to be judging. You know, triple toe, double axel, so you look at that and you're able to assess how well it was executed. You understand? So if you have this man, you have a thing with an adjudicator and a thing, say, okay, my opening line is going to be this and this, and then we're going to explore this and we're going to... So you have an idea of where these people are, you know? But then all you have to rely on is verse, chorus, either a modulation or background melody and a thing. And, you know, we encounter a whole lot of things that need fixing and nobody makes a comment about it. How about one day if we could hear the middles playing a melody and we don't have to strain the air because the tenors who are improvising over it, they're too loud, you know? And you have to be straining to hear the middles. Yeah, they're playing the melody and the tenors could be doing what they're doing, but not as loud, you know?
Right.
If we have an orchestra, treat it like an orchestra. So when you're judging something, most people hear melody and bass and don't know the intricacies of what is going on within the music, because there is no balance. People think balance is 6 tenors to 1 bass. No, that's not what that is. The balance is the whole performance. You understand?
So,
and maybe
so,
one
you
day...
know, so when you say down there, when you're sitting down there, 20-something bands coming up, semi-finals, sun hot, it have a part in the panorama, they take a nosedive, boom, because the bands that come in gain no energy, nothing, the tuning complete, they just making up time. How you just process that? How you just go through that? Because it always have a lull. It must have a part in the panorama, it takes a nosedive, because they say people just wait to come up in Savannah when the big bands come in. Right?
Yeah, but let me tell you
how
something.
You as an adjudicator that's handled them period, they sit down there.
You see, the criteria remains the same, you know. the criteria remains the same. Because if
No,
a
I'm talking
man,
about you as the adjudicator. How you getting that energy to be 100% alert regardless to what time of the day it is or what time of the
because
competition?
what you're trying to do is satisfy the requirements. You're hoping that the arranger trying to satisfy the requirements of what is supposed to be done with the piece. You understand? And they have
do you
you
sit
listen
down
to,
there and lock off arrangers? Do you sit down there and they can see that this tune ain't doing nothing and he ain't going nowhere with it
no,
and
it's
lock
not
them
lock
off?
off arrangers. You see, let me tell you something. Sometimes I get a little confused. I can't speak for another adjudicator. But when you have benchmark, you will have ties. You know, because some people set benchmarks some years. I don't know if the new administration had any benchmark. I think they're working on a new form of adjudicating, which I think is a step up, you know, is a positive, you know. But I mean, if you set a, let's say you set a benchmark, okay, rhythm is between 10 and 7. Now, you know, I'm not trying to say this is lesser than or this, but you're going to put, let me say, Desperados rhythm section and a band that is definitely not doing well. There's only 2 points could possibly separate what they're presenting to you. That is nonsense. But then again, this is my humble opinion. You know, so you have to be more, you have to work with a broader scope. In order, and you know, and the thing about it is,
does judges make mistakes?
Of course.
And who
When you say mistake,
oversee their mistakes? Who oversee their mistakes and what steps is taken to discipline?
No. It's not. It has nothing to do with discipline. Sometimes you come up with a total, and it might be a point off. And as soon as you see the thing about it, this is a very thin subject here now. With all those people who I say they're mouth off, you know, they're mouth off and say, oh, judges thief. You have 6 judges in a final. 3 of them points don't count. The high gonna go out, the low gonna go out, and the alternate gonna go out. The alternate is now picked at the end of the show. So nobody don't know who the alternate was. Before the alternate was gravy. If you pick alternate, you kick back and relax. Your points ain't counting unless somebody falls sick. So I don't know how they go decide who is the alternate or who marking high or who marking low. For 6 people who don't collaborate at all until, when I see you put that thing and they take that paper out your hand, you have nothing again to do with that score sheet. So who don't know, don't talk.
All right. I know from past experience.
Be able to,
Well, I'm going to tell you from past experience, they had a panorama up in Twin City. And that's East Panorama. And one of the panel judge fall to sleep during the band performance and get up and ask a question how the band sung and copy and paste what the judge next to them wrote and their opinion about the song. That had a little drama in it. It went to court. They get in the semi-finals. You know the same judge who fell asleep in the preliminaries and who consulted with the next judge and who didn't like the song. Judge the same band again in the semi-finals. I think that all them kind of thing is unfair. Them shouldn't be judging because it is you victimize a band preliminaries and they went to court. They should have come in. Here they had to face you again. They should not have to face you again. I find them 2 judges should have been suspended from the Panama.
Okay, well, let me make a statement.
What do you think about situations like that? Because you're jeopardizing a whole band, 3 months practice, money spent and thing because of your irresponsibility.
You know, I am wondering if I should go inside for my judge hat. You know,
I don't want you to. You understand? But I just want to because this talk circulates. this talk circulates in the pan community, and you see all the talk at the corner of the street. You understand? Everybody find this and find that and find that, right? But after the carnival, the talk dead, right? The judge still continue to judge other competitions, right? And you fall to sleep.
I want to make something clear for you. Like I said earlier, I can't talk for any other adjudicator. But we know that whole system needs tweaking in the sense that I don't think you should have 32 bands in a small band semifinal. And maybe because of location, when they're doing the visiting the pan tents, they're going to do north, especially with single pan. North going to get about 3 nights, East going to get 3 nights because they're among the single pan band have. And in them 3 nights, you might see 5 or 6 bands each night. But yet you're going to put 32 bands together to do a semifinal. And back in the single pan thing, when you reach the door, last year or something, they throughout the semis, but when you go to a single pan preliminary, coming out of us to go in the semis, 30-something band is put in that semifinal. So when you have a adjudicator,
that's another thing, man. That's another thing. We don't need so much bands in the semifinals, right? We don't need so much bands. Exactly. You act together and compete. You had to have some kind of fight to get in there. You can't feel, well, it's only 50 bands. I must be make a 30-something. No, right? But I really wanted to answer what I was just talking about, but I was just expressing my concern because that's not right.
Think, I mean, it's a very, no, exactly, because listen, no, what I really wanted to address with you, and I'd use a statement saying that I could only talk for me. Let me tell you something. I am not being judgmental, but what I'm saying to you, with me, I don't care if they put me to judge. Most of the time, I just be judging large bands. Sometimes I judge large and sometimes medium. But what I'm saying, sometimes the name and the reputation of the band intimidates people. Nobody intimidates me. I want your music to intimidate me, not you. You understand? And some people feel that if this band ain't getting, oh my God. And in the past, judges have been threatened and all kind of things.
Threatened and things.
You understand? Yes. And then most likely it's not even from pan players in the band, it might be from a supporter.
But that going back from the beginning, you know, it wasn't the pan people was fighting, you know, it's supporters because in the back of now.
Yeah, so I mean, let me tell you something. Sometimes when people ask me, like for instance, I tell people, I say, oh, they have the right now, or they have the thing. As I tell somebody, if I get a right offer to go and do a band, I will go and do it because I know I'm prepared to do it. I stay in touch. I mean, when you're judging, how more in touch you could be. But I am saying they use the excuse now. But aren't you judging, my friend, to arrange for a decent band? The judging will take a side.
I hear you.
Because I'm a pan man before I'm an adjudicator. You understand? I 10 times a pan man before I'm an adjudicator. I don't know who I might annoy saying that, but I'm just talking from my heart.
All right. Roger, we had a wrap up, boy. We had a wrap up. I think this had to have a part 2. It is season 2, right? In the season 2, we had to have a part 2 because, you know, it has some things still. I really want to hear your views and opinion on it, right?
Yeah,
but I want to say something to them young people. Say something to them young and people who interested in getting involved in the art form and let them understand it's not one branch. It's not one branch.
But the thing about it is, I wouldn't just say young people, but I say people who play the pans. My friends, you have to learn the scales. You have to keep practicing your scales. You have to keep learning patterns from within your scales. So this gives you a flexibility to become familiar with chords, harmonies. All of these things come from your scales. I sometimes wish I were in your time, but then my time was my time. But I can tell you, you have got to elevate your interest in learning more about the music and constructing the music in a proper manner. That's why I say not just young people. There are people playing man 30, 40 years. You have to adopt that too if you want to be a successful band player. You understand? And the young people just keep plugging, and the literacy, music literacy, very important. I'm a self-taught musician. You understand? I buy books that are relevant to what I do, and I understand certain things about the music, and I could relate to certain things. Like I say, I write music, I perform music, I adjudicate music. So I think I have a pretty good idea of the pan music thing. You know, so I just say keep practicing, practicing, practicing. That's all you need to do. You know, just keep practicing.
You're here for yourself, people. You're here for yourself. You talk to each one of us. I'm included and all, right? Because I just preach practice. You know, I mightn't put in the time that I know I'm supposed to be putting in, but I do practice. Practice is
But
very important.
you use your time to educate people how much times a week? 4 or 5 times a week? Yeah, not so. Not so. Not Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Sunday.
Yes, yes, yes.
So
You know, so I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for that.
You're supposed
But
to have the time.
But Roger,
uh-huh.
what the #1 internet pan program, man? What the #1 pan program have up online?
Players only, asks and answers.
Oh gosh, yeah, that people players only on the a la carte. You know, we have Roger Sardinha in the house here, right? We had a nice discussion for the past hour, right? We're gonna have a part 2 in season 2. We got him to close off this season 1 finale here. Very interested. He talk as being a player, performer, composer, writer, producer, arranger, and he also spoke about adjudicating. But we didn't get much into the adjudicating because we have part 2 in season 2. Roger,
You gotta say something.
say what you had to say. Say what you had to say. Advertise yourself. Say what you had to say.
No, listen. It is very easy. My name, my email is all the same. If you need for me to do something, I teach children from age 6. I've been teaching in Scarborough for about 16 years, taught in Scarborough Secondary School. I arrange for a senior group, and I do work for most of the bands in Trinidad and I think I'm a decent band player. So I hope you all enjoy
and then I
the
know in
rest of the
Tobago,
day.
he's in Tobago, and I know he had influence in plenty of the young players coming up. Like, you understand? So let God continue to bless you, brother.
Roger, yes, all those brothers, Leandro, Ryan, all of them, keep on pushing, brother. Yep,
Right?
the road is wide.
The road is long. It's a long and winding road. You understand? Yes. Right? It's not all the time. Plenty times you have to stand on your own 2 feet and man up.
Yeah,
right?
We know that. Nothing worth a damn is easy.
Yes.
If it's easy, it's worth a damn.
So people,
anyway, my brother,
from Roger Sardinha.
Yes, thanks again.
Yes. I want to thank everyone who joined us. Right? You know, here we are on the players only version of the Pan a la carte. This is our last episode for season 1. Yes, we'll be back in October, the first week in October. Look out for the a la carte being back. Look out for the trailers. We're going to be doing it nice, right? We're going to thank Roger for coming and doing this season finale here, right? We're going to be nicing it up for season 2, right? Don't forget tomorrow on Pan a la carte, the season finale performance, all right? Until we take a little break, because we have been jamming for almost 4 months going now. Right? So I want to say thank you very much for the support. All right, and we look forward to having you around. And it's gonna have reruns during the little break. Right? I need a break. I need a break. I asked myself, you could continue, and myself said, you need a break to refresh and come again. So I want to thank Olodumare, my Orishas and ancestors, especially my ancestors, my grandmothers, right, my loved ones who has gone, right, and each and every one of you who has lost loved ones. We want to thank them for guiding us and looking out for us during this time of COVID. All right, continue to practice the hygiene with your mask, wear your mask, wash your hands, sanitize your hands, socialize with a distance. All right, don't let nobody come in your face and talk to you. All right, please protect the children, keep the children inside. Yes, it's going to be pressure for the kids, but we have to see it through. We have to see it through. I give thanks and praise. So on behalf of Sunset Steel Pan Group Production, Earl Jr., producer, myself, peace, Roger.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.